live from LA. Sweet Life Podcast. Wow. Keke Palmer.
Yeah.
Wow. Tricky Stewart.
What?
Oh boy, Chief.
I don't even get a wow.
Right, he left the wow.
Chief, my guy, Chief.
There you go.
Nah.
I'm Malik. It don't matter that much. Yo, thank you guys so much for joining us.
Oh my gosh, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for having us.
And for the food too, it's looking delicious.
We gonna get into it. We don't fake. We eat on the show.
Right.
So you don't have to, play with
That's
it.
the main reason we got 3 cameras for the cutaways when you stuff in your mouth. But no, like Malik said, just beyond appreciative for both of you. Like, you guys are young legends, trailblazers, amazing, huge personalities, and I think it's an honor for us to be able to sit with you, break some bread, and just chop it up.
Yes, I feel the same way.
Feels like family.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we family.
I know. 3 out of 4.
He been talking about you since I've known this dude for
10
plus years.
Wow.
And I've never had the opportunity to meet you in person, but very familiar with your work. And he's always just spoke so highly of you as a human. And I'm glad we get to.
You changed my life. What are we talking about?
Right y'all know each other.
Well, when I was the president of Epic in 2010.
Like Flex?
No, well, I immediately just kind of, when you get in that seat, you really just need to know who's going to have your back. And there's immediately people that came to me, like everybody's trying to, figure out how to get in. And
Right.
there's a guy named Zach Katz, which is a really good friend of his, kind of came to me. And Zach and we're cool, but we're not like super close or anything. But he called me. I could tell when people aren't like bullshit. And he's like, I know someone that just needs the right person to kind of get involved with what they're doing, like a really great finder of talent, like a manager, like somebody that just really knew what was going on in the space culturally, and ultimately somebody, as me being a producer, like, we don't spend a lot of time out, so I needed somebody who had a tremendous Rolodex. And so Malik has a tremendous Rolodex and a tremendous taste level that I just immediately just identify with, and one thing kind of led to another, and it's been kind of like a brothership ever since then. Bromance.
I love that.
Yeah.
Tell us about this relationship.
Well, I mean, who, me or you?
Yeah, I'm gonna say like our roles.
Keke, we all know Keke from
Everything,
right? From going back to Killing the Bee and right, all that, right? And so she's just been highly coveted and very, was very protected, as a young child star coming up in the game. And so we knew each other, but we didn't know each other because I was
always trying to work with you. Let's just be real.
Really?
Everybody always wants to work with Tricky.
Yeah,
I mean, he's talented across the board from, every kind of record you could think of, he's had a hand in. And so he was one of those people when I first got signed as a kid that they were like, oh, you should work with. I've gone through a lot of different situations within the music business, from Atlantic to Interscope to Island. And he's just one of those producers where, that when he gets his hands on an artist, he knows what it is to actually produce and express who they are to the world. He's always been able to do. He's about Rihanna, Umbrella, or any of these kinds of records. He's always been able to break through in that kind of way. And so he was always someone I wanted to work with. I would love to get a chance to work with, but he's not that easy to catch up with.
I am. I'm not that hard, but
hard.
But it is harder when there's an age gap, though.
Yeah.
Because it's not like we can do the things that naturally make us run into each other at the time. Mm-hmm. So when she got older and kind of got more bossed up, became, the boss lady and everything, then, it was a situation where we could really organically connect. And so it just, timing is everything. And we're here now. And we're really excited to be working together musically.
Yeah,
today.
shout out to Big Billy Clark, Nancy, who also helped put this together and
Billy
connect
Clark.
us. Yeah, you know, Billy's somebody I worked with since I met him in my first record deal.
Really?
Yeah, when I was 12, and he's
Wow.
always been kind of like my music godfather, you know what I mean, and helping and everything. And so he's still around, still a part of the management team and helping. So
Wow.
How important is it to have somebody like Big Billy Clark?
I mean, it's important. It is really important, even just to remind you, he's seen a lot. He's worked with tons of people that have gone through their own personal ups and downs with this industries and have always landed in a success story, whether it's Christina Milian or JoJo, you know, a lot of different artists, especially from a young age and up. And so he's always been somebody that, even when I was like, I'm done with music or I'm, you know, fuck this shit, he was, you know, a few months later, hey, I got an idea. What you think? You know, always kept me believing that there's another way, there's another route. And to remind me that really it starts with me, which I think is the thing that most artists have to, you know, we always want to believe that it's that label or it's that producer or it's that one situation that's going to make us pop. Like, all you need to do is get with so-and-so. But it's so key what Tricky was saying was like, it was meeting him, but it's also my mentality that was developed and had changed. You know, being now seeing myself as a boss and knowing how to be a businesswoman inside of my creativity, that also was a part of, I think, what brought me to this point, because it really, you can have the best situation in front of you. If you don't know how to work it, then it's never going to really materialize. And so all those situations, that's really, you know, kind of what they taught me.
I think we're both nodding because, you know, we're involved in a label together, and we went out and got amazing deals for the artists. Amazing deals, right? Where people owning their masters, getting
That's
big
an amazing deal.
Yeah, you know, with the big labels, not like some subsidiary.
Right.
So, but at the end of the day, no matter what we poured in, the artist has got to step up and come do the work. The work can't be circumvented, and that's the most important thing.
Absolutely.
In any medium, the work cannot be circumvented. It's got to be done.
Yes.
Absolutely.
You know?
It does. And a lot of times it takes you doing extra. You know what I mean? Like, I think that was the big thing I learned too with these labels. Everybody thinks, you know, I get a label deal, I get broken off this amount of money, I'm about to go get me a house, a car. Understandable, especially if you know, ain't came from a lot. And it's like, I get some money finally.
Yeah.
But it's also a trick bag, because half of that money, really most of that money, you know, it should be invested in whatever the project is.
Yeah,
you know, and even still then, let's say if you invested every single dime of what you got on your signing bonus into the music, you still would need more to promote and market and push your stuff. And I do feel like when we talk about these artist stories, those are the part that I wish that the kids would hear more. It's like the real truth is like, you know, there's only so much. The rest is up to you. You know, you really gotta hustle. You know, if you think Beyonce, you know, or whoever it is, the artist that you think, if you think that they're not doing more than the label is doing, you out your goddamn mind.
Yeah.
Hey, speak on that.
You know what I mean? You're
Way
out
more.
or your
Listen,
mind.
I remember Cardi getting Coachella, and they were like, because she signed the Coachella deal early. They knew she was gonna get there. Like, so I think I don't specifically know the amount of money that she got paid, but she put up the money out of her pocket for her set. Because her set wouldn't have, you know what I mean? It wouldn't have been anything. So again, she was like, yo, I know where I'm at. I gotta invest in myself. You know what I mean? You've talked about Beyonce being insanely anal in terms of like just work ethic is unlike anybody else's. Let's segue a little bit to artists. Let's talk about some of your early discoveries, because Keke talks about you in an esteemed fashion. I know what you do. Chief knows what you do, but for everybody else, like let's talk about like the Frank Oceans and some of the
Get into it, love.
Yeah,
Oh, man,
come on.
You know, discovery is one of those things that, you know, I've been in a position that I've been in for a long time, and so I'm hesitant to use the word discover because it's hard. It is a little hard to get to me. So there's always someone. There's always a conduit. But you know, my brother Tab, who I've worked with for many, many years, Tab was the first person him and Mark were the people that brought Frank to me, because Frank is from New Orleans, and when Hurricane Katrina happened, he got wiped out of New Orleans and ended up in LA as like this really, just unique. He was a unique songwriter and this and that. And, they came to me and they were like, we got this guy we want you to write with. He's like, kind of like, a James Fauntleroy kind of vibe. And I heard his voice. And when I heard his voice, I was like, well, I was also working with Dream heavily every single day, day in, day out. And Dream has a very unique voice. So I was spending most of my time trying to really make sure that these records that we were writing were really coming off great. And then, which is really hard to do when you have a very distinctive voice like that you're translating to other artists. And when I heard Frank's voice, I was like, oh God, not another one. Like, I was like, fuck this. Like, I was like
on the floor.
Yeah, I just basically told him, I said, listen, I love what you do, but I have no interest in writing with you unless you plan on being an artist. And I was like, because I don't want to recut. I don't ever want to hear anyone that recuts one of these records is going to sound like a disappointment to me. You know what I mean? So
I know exactly what you're talking about.
So from that standpoint, that's how the relationship started. And but I was in a crazy zone because I was doing Aguilera's film Burlesque in one room, doing Mariah Carey's Memoirs of a Perfect Angel in another room, and working on Dream's album in the back room. So
that's when you on one of them runs. That's one of them runs.
I mean, that is incredible.
That's one of them
and all
runs.
in the same breath.
Yes, absolutely. And so it was It was a crazy time. So I'm having this conversation with him in a doorway of Studio C, which was the Boom Boom Room at the time.
Oh my gosh,
Will Smith's studio. We're having this conversation in the doorway, and I said, listen, I want to sign you, and I said everything that I just said, but the only thing is, I can't do nothing with you for a year.
Wow.
I was like, I'm like a year out right now. So he was like, all right, cool, bet. So we shook hands, we made the deal, blah, blah, blah. Everything kind of went from there. We got back together. We ended up creating Nostalgia Ultra, which was the mixtape.
If you from LA,
It was so good. I remember
Soundtrack.
everybody was going, oh,
Soundtrack.
he broke the industry. He broke the everybody was going crazy when that dropped.
Yeah, no, he was a special talent, very unique. A marketing, like just his marketing stuff, like never really quite worked with any other artists like that, with bringing that type of thing to the table. At the end of the day, I had no idea what the hell he was talking about, like half the time. And he would come in with the image of, that Nostalgia Ultra image of that BMW. He knew what that was, like, and he just really identified that as a moment. He just really he still to this day really understands the mystique, how to be invisible. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, that, when we put that out, it was really hand to hand. It was like we printed up CDs. We would give anybody that was sitting next to us on the plane. If you encountered us at that moment, it was really like, have you heard this? And we were just having listening parties. And then he was on, I want to say Jimmy Kimmel with Odd Future that one night.
Yeah.
And then everything kind of went crazy, and then he dropped it. That was his opportunity. He dropped it, and ultimately the rest was history from that standpoint. And just really unique talents in him and Dream, and being in rooms with. Those are unique situations where you're really in a collaborative process with people that have a really strong identity musically, and everything is in play. Like there was no limits to what I could do with a Dream. There still isn't any limits to what I can do with him, as far as whether it's a pop song to a R&B ballad to just a house record to whatever you hadn't heard, and that became our soundtrack to let people know. Love Hate in particular was
good.
our soundtrack to letting people know what we wanted to do forever.
Yeah.
you alluded to. I'm sorry, but you alluded to Frank, you said he knows how to play, not play. He knows how to be a celebrity. He knows the invincibility. I think you've done that really well. Like your whole career, like you've picked the right things. Like
Thank you so
even
much.
like Nope, right? Like that right now, it feels like such a segue to what I feel is going to be the trajectory is only going there, and then the body of work that you guys are working on together. Tell me how it is that you come to these decisions, like in terms of when to be seen,
Sure.
things you want to be seen on, how you want your voice heard in terms of your overall creativity. Like, how do you come to these places?
Well, it's funny because you have what he was saying about Frank, which is, Frank's whole thing is being invisible. There's a mystique. There's a, oh, we gonna have to be on this nigga time. You know what I mean? Whenever he ready to show up, we gonna be ready. And that works for him, and that's something we expect from him and we love from him.
Mm-hmm.
And I think with me, it's different, right? Sometimes I'm all in your face, you know what I mean? With one thing, I'm doing hosting, and another minute I'm doing something. Oh, she's doing Nope or something more serious or obscure in that regard. I think the what I do, which I think is probably the same thing that Frank does, even though we're different, is that we do what feel right to us.
Okay.
So it's not like I'm sitting at the thing and I'm like, this is the way that I'm gonna. It's what makes sense to me.
Okay.
I can feel when I'm like, you know what, this is too much. I don't want to do this. When I'm like, I don't really think right now I want to be out doing an interview, or I don't want to be all up like that. I just want to do this project, let it go and see what happens. Or what, music, I think right now is a time where I've got something to say. Let's see what we can do, how we can figure this out. So I really follow what feels true to me. You know what I mean? And when you are, I truly feel like an artist in every sense of the word. Whatever the medium is, music, stage, film, TV, any of the ones, hosting, any of those, all those are arts to me. And, I like to be diverse in my mediums. And when I feel like playing one, I play one. And when I don't, I don't. And so that's truly what, and it can seem like, damn, she really knows what she's doing. But that's why I'm such a strong believer of following your intuition. Just be true to you. I'm never guided by, I need motherfuckers to look at me. Or, I need a check. Yeah, I'm not guided by that. And by the way, that doesn't mean, I've been in some crazy situation where I probably should have been like, I'm looking for a check. You know what I mean? But I think the integrity is what allows for people to really connect with you. So I try to keep the integrity of my art by basing it truly off of what I feel and not anything that feels surface level. You know what I mean?
Yeah, your art and your creativity, you started at a very young age. How did you continue to sharpen your tools? Because we know, like, a lot of times as a child actress, that doesn't last long.
Yeah.
Whether it's parents, management, a lot of them, vices. But you've been able to not only sustain your career, but continue to elevate and reach further and further. And it feels like you've been in the game forever, but you're still so young and you still have like there's no ceiling. But what are some of the steps that you took to make sure that, you continued on that path?
I think never allow myself to get too comfortable, which I don't think that I could ever do. Like, I'm honestly the kind of person where it's like, okay, what's next in life? You know what I mean? I have to have something that engages me, you know what I mean? Because what else am I doing this for? You know what I mean? Like, life is so weird. And so I have to find a storyline to give myself, to find interest. And I think doing, entertaining so long as a kid, I reached a point after when I was about 17, I think I had did Joyful Noise. Like, I did True Jackson VP on Nickelodeon for a bunch of years. Yeah. Obviously did the music thing in between there. That wasn't always the best experience. So I was kind of just trying to figure out what I wanted to do, what I wanted to say. And I was getting a lot of the same roles, like in terms of what was being offered to me. And then I was having an audition a lot, but I was in a weird age phase where some of the things that I wanted, I was too young for. And some of the things that people wanted me for, I felt like were too young for me. And so I just was like, ultimately, that was when my mom and I were like, hey, how do we really put our producer's hat on and start to help me to evolve, because the industry is not going to help me do it. And so we started looking for projects and things that would help me to evolve. And I think that was like the stepping stone of me doing what I really feel like everybody, we all got to do as artists is be the writers of our story, really be in charge of our narrative. Because after that, I started being in the forefront of what I wanted to say and producing my own content on social media, which really changed the trajectory of my career and helped to evolve my career because it was my voice. You know what I mean? And no one was telling me what I could post, when I could post it. And I was able to say, I want to do comedy now. I think that's the thing that's interesting me. I think I have something to say, and I think I want to say something. I want to use humor to do it. Okay, now I want to tell this story. And now I am ready to tell music. I want to tell the story of my music. I did a project with Sean Garrett. We did about 4 or 5 songs. Now I want to tell the story about the girl from Chicago. I think that I'm ready to talk about that. Then we did that project. So I just started I just stopped being afraid of somebody telling me that's what I should do. And just started being true and doing what I wanted to do. And I think those are the things that sharpen my skill. Taking chances. As an artist, we always I just need somebody to believe in me. But it's no one's going to believe in you
like you
believe in yourself. So when I started spending my own money, when I started spending my own time and really put my own stuff together, at that point, now it's people will be like, Keke, you always been. And I'm like, yeah, but about 2010, you niggas wasn't sure about me. You know what I mean? Seriously, no one remembers when Michael Jackson left the Jackson 5 and y'all said it was going to be Jermaine.
Right.
Y'all thought it was going to be Jermaine. I remember. My mama told me y'all thought it was going to be Jermaine. But no one remembers those things. They just remember you've always been it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's in the midst of those where we gotta know, and we gotta push forward. Because once it's all said and done, now everybody, it's oh, Keke, you always knew. And it's I knew what I wanted. I didn't know what y'all was going to say, but I kept doing me. And then now it's the reality is you've been, you know what I mean? So you got to just keep going. You can't stop. You can't give up. And you got to keep taking chances. That's what I go by.
Yeah.
You a chance taker. You left Chicago, what, 16?
17.
To Atlanta.
Woo!
You, Mark.
No, to L.A.
Oh, you came to L.A. first.
I lived in L.A. first. Came out here to work with Lil Silas and MCA Records and all that kind of stuff. And then I was dating this girl from Atlanta that used to sing backgrounds for L.A. and Babyface. Wow. And she was playing my stuff for them. It's this kid in L.A. And then that's how I ended up being in Atlanta from meeting L.A. And at that time, when I first moved out here, I didn't have any money to record or anything like that. So it was I got the meeting with L.A. over at the Four Seasons. And I went in there with my beats and my tracks, and I had to sing everything live on the spot. And he's like, that's my first single right there. Come to Atlanta. You moving, so. And then we just started rocking. And I moved to L.A. I moved to Atlanta in 95, but originally I moved here in 92.
Wow. Did you always want to be
a year before I was born?
Come on now.
Producer, songwriter, or was the vision originally you wanted to be the artist?
Well, I think everybody that's in the music business, whether it's your publisher,
whether
it's your attorney, whether it's like your manager.
Not the attorney.
I know.
The attorney
too.
Back in the day.
I think everybody saw themselves in the front of the microphone at some point. I actually had a deal. Most people don't know I had a deal. I was in a group that got signed to Giant Records by Irving Azoff and Cassandra Mills.
The original Giant.
Yeah, the Giant Records, original Giant Records, and it was a multicultural group. It was me.
Come on, multicultural.
It was me, 2 black guys, and 2 white guys. Well, then they ended up signing this other group that was multicultural at the same time, and they did a little record called "Sex You Up," and that kind of put our
Color Me Back.
Sam Waters.
Sam Waters.
Yeah, shout out.
And so everybody loved the music from my group, but we just didn't have a lead singer, and that was the bottom line. And the guy Brian from their record was really had that voice. So I ended up producing their next album.
There it is.
And that's how I know Sam, is because I produced "Color Me Bad."
Wow.
Damn.
I just love how this industry just does
Right.
that.
Right.
I really love that.
Proximity.
Yeah.
Right?
what they say, 6 degrees, 7 degrees.
It's like
I mean,
3 degrees
and that's
now.
how I also know Tab and Robin Thicke and Sam Salter, rest in peace. But they were a multicultural group, and MCA wanted to sign us, and everybody was like, "I love the music," and so I ended up producing that group. But Tab, Sam Salter, and Robin Thicke was in a group called Common
For
Ground.
real?
Yes.
Dang.
It was always names like that, Common Ground.
Yeah.
Why is it a phrase?
Terrible
Color
name.
Me Bad.
Yeah.
All Color Me Bad was dope.
You know what I mean?
All for one.
Yeah, it was like there. You're like, what? Is it a book?
That's wild.
Yeah, we were trying to hit that middle American money.
Right. Common Ground.
And from there, when I produced them, it was clear that Tab was a manager when he got on that microphone, and we broke the group up.
Yo, Tab, I didn't say it. I didn't say it. Tab.
we broke that group up. Cook was actually the one doing the vocals at the
Oh my
time.
gosh, Cook
Carell.
is always
Yeah.
doing the vocal and shutting it down.
Yeah,
I love
Cook is my
Cook.
cousin. He's from Chicago as well,
I
obviously.
I love Cook.
And he said, "Yeah, what's your name? Come on in, Tab." Like, he pulled him out the box, and the rest is history. We, my brother Mark started managing Robin Thicke. We signed Sam Salter to LaFace. And
Is that when Robin was signed to, what was it, New America or something?
he
Some
got
label?
to? No, he was signed to. I believe he was signed to Brian. Ultimately, he was signed to Brian McKnight first,
Got it.
right?
This when he had his long hair.
No, this is before that.
Riding his
that
bike.
that was when he got signed to Andre Harrell.
Yes,
at
that's,
Interscope.
yes, yeah.
Yeah, and he
Wow.
was there his whole career after that, But ultimately, yes, I wanted to be in front of that microphone. Did not have the voice, but I knew how to tell everybody else what they should be doing.
Period.
And
Producer.
And then I became a producer, but I started off wanting to sing. Still can't sing, and it's gotten worse over the years.
I get though from both of you, the one of the key things right now is no fear though. Like you gotta let fear go. You gotta remove fear from especially in creativity, life period, but creativity you have to remove fear and go with your gut. That doesn't mean you're not collaborative and can't work with other people, but ultimately you have to stay on your path. You can't let someone take you off your path. You can say, yeah, great suggestion. I'm going to, implement that. But fear and walking away from your intuition, I think that's dead at more careers than anything.
Yeah. And sometimes you don't know, but you end up finding out. If you're not clear, then that's your cue to go back to the drawing board. Because if you can't explain it to a child in a couple sentences or less, then it probably isn't all the way there. Whatever you're trying to say or whatever you're trying to do. It's all about being able to communicate, know when somebody's getting it and when they're not. Okay, when we gonna move on, I'm gonna go do my own thing. But it's all the same no matter what industry that you're in. I mean, I definitely think the entertainment industry and the music business is nuts. But it's all a ladder. It's all we're all going and taking things level by level by level. I've learned to be compassionate with myself for sure.
Yeah.
I think one
Grace.
thing that I always try to instill in young people, because I've never had fear. Like, I've never really experienced fear. I think there's times when I might have concern about situations that I might put myself
it's
in.
different. Concern and fear is totally
very
different.
I've never had fear. I don't know why. I was probably too young to have it, and by the time I should have it, like, I accomplished some things, so it was okay. But I think the thing that I try to let young people know the most is that when you are doing something, you have to take the action, and you have to really spend the time and do what it is that you want to do, because nobody's coming. Like, my brother Mark taught me very early on, like, nobody's coming.
Nobody.
When you, like, it's on you. And the other big thing that I learned is this, and this is hard for people to understand, no matter how established you are, is that when we talk about the industry and so broad, there's never a day when the whole industry is like, oh, I need me some of that.
Right.
Styles make fights. You can make all your money with one or two people. That's your industry.
Seriously.
You don't have to. There's never going to become a day Like, I've never worked for Atlantic Records. I've never worked for Warner Brothers Records.
Right.
Like, throughout all the years that I've ever worked, like, that, they don't understand what they mean. I mean, maybe they understand, but I know they appreciate it, but they don't see themselves in one of those suits. You know what I mean? And so you have to focus on who. So many people spend time focusing on who's not calling them versus worrying about who is calling you.
Wow.
Like,
That
you
is
have to
so
focus
true.
on who is calling you and not who is not.
That is so much of the project that we did together is Big Boss, and we have a movie that's coupled with it, right? And that is, it's so funny because we did the project first, and it was all about, you know, a lot of what we talk about now. I sat down with Tricky, we talked, and we had conversation. Where you at now, and what do you want to talk about, and what do you feel? And you know, my whole thing was like, you know, I'm done with the bullshit. I'm a boss. I mean, I'm moving forward. I've learned from my mistakes, or I've learned from my experiences, and now I don't really have any fears of anything. You know what I mean? And it's important what he said about the fears, because even if you don't have fears, this industry can make you apprehensive. And then the moment passes you by because somebody done told you this isn't the way it goes. There is no way that it goes, but the way that it goes down. Then that becomes a story for the next motherfucker. You know what I mean? This is how it goes. And it's like, no, it just goes when it goes.
Yeah.
So we're working, we did the music, and then Billy is talking to me about how, you know, what is the story that I want to tell with the music, you know, visually. Because I think you could do a movie. You know what I mean? You've been acting, and you know what I mean? You could tell a story of your life with this music. And so I sat there and I tried to figure out what is the story that I want to tell. And that is the story that I want to tell. That is so much of what I talk about in the movie. From the beginning of my journey with my music, where the movie starts, you know, and the music kind of scores the whole project. You know what I mean? It's almost like a musical, but not, if there's the best way that I can explain it. But a big key component to what I take the audience through learning and realizing with me is I always had a team and people that believed in me. I always had that, you know, I always had it. It was me who thought that they weren't enough. Because the industry told me you got to be working with that person, and you should be working with that person, and you need that person to say. And if they don't think, and I spent I've spent so much time with mean ass people, people that take advantage of me, people that harass me, people that disrespect me in the studio, people that would just damn fuck with me for real. You know what I'm saying? They wanted something else from me, and it wasn't my talent. I spent so much time going around and around in that strange loop till one day I realized, bitch, it's you. Go where the love is. You can be, you know, Phineas and motherfucking, what's her name?
Billie Eilish.
Billie Eilish, it's them.
Yeah.
And they shut it down as far as I knew. You don't really need anybody else but the people that rock with you.
It's and you know what? That's such listen. That's such an important thing now, period. Because you see these kids, right? I have young kids, so you see the kids where they're like, "Oh, somebody didn't like my picture," right? Somebody didn't, you know, they didn't like my photo, or, you know, I'm not getting as many likes as my other friends, and, you know, who's not just engaging with me. And that's, I think the world as a whole, we are all like, we're on social media, and it's like, oh, somebody ain't, you know, I don't have as many followers, and I don't have this, and I don't have that. You know what? It's cool. The 3,000 followers that I have, they fuck with me. And I'm going to grow those 3,000 followers into 300,000 followers. And it's going to be okay. It may take some time, but I'm okay with that process. I think the moment that you start like, yo, I got to find some way to like expedite this, and I got to blah, 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 is when you get fucked up, and then you lose the creativity.
I mean, everybody wants the Beehive, but they seem to forget the part that Beyonce has only ever cared about the Beehive. Everybody ain't always loved Beyonce. I ain't never heard Beyonce gonna say, I got haters, or who hasn't messed with me, or she's always been just grateful for the people that did. And I've seen so many artists and people in our position that's like, you know what, I'm done doing music. Ain't nobody coming to my shows. So what about the people that did? They're not enough?
Can I ask both of you, all three of us, something?
You're celebrated.
Yeah, that's what all three of us, 4 of us. Do you think that? Don't you think that that's a problem
It's a huge problem.
for us? Us, like if they don't celebrate us, then whatever. As opposed to, I'm from a place where the Soul Train Awards meant something to me. Essence Awards meant something to me. Yes, would I like to get an Academy Award? Of course. Let's not act like, just like you appearing on Saturday Night Live. Of course. It's huge.
Yeah,
It says a
but
lot.
it's odd when the things that are pivotal, iconic pieces in your culture somehow don't measure up. That's the problem.
That's what I'm saying.
It's okay to
Exactly.
say, hey, everything is great. And there's certain staples of things that we think are iconic. SNL's one of them. Shit, Soul Train Awards is one of them. There's so many things in our American culture that are staples that we can show respect to. But it is an issue when we have Black American iconic things, and for whatever reason, it's like, well, I want to NAACP award, but not an Emmy. Who gives a shit?
Yeah.
Honestly, you should be appreciative, and your community has said, yo, I rock with you. I believe in you.
I celebrate
I
you.
celebrate you because, by the way, that is what makes anybody else want to rock.
We will always be the movers of the culture. Period.
I will
I don't know
say,
what that
I
is.
find that to be more in the mid-level. When you really look at the icons, they beat it.
roll.
Period.
Smokey
The
Robinson.
icons, the people at the highest level, like the Denzel Washingtons and the people like Jamie Foxx and stuff like that, like they never really forget. They're there on the front seats of those places. It's the mid people who want to be someplace
Because
else.
that's how also you're conditioned in that fashion.
Yeah.
And whether we want to take onus, we condition ourselves in that matter, and so then those coming after us get conditioned in that way.
And then even in general, it's like, even if, I think we also got to get off the awards thing and just stop thinking that everything, we need somebody to always say, again, you did
a
good.
job.
You know what I'm saying? Like, either
Thank you.
it was a home run, ain't no good pitch.
Right.
You know what I mean? It is what it is, and take that and leave. We can't. No, I just think we sometimes can waste our times, and it's an artist thing, or it's just a sensitive thing when you're creative, where you just want someone to say something, but it's like, you got to just do it for you. Yeah. You got to do it for you.
I think when you work from that place,
everything's easy,
and you won't drive yourself crazy.
It's a sense of freedom, right?
Yeah, that's real freedom.
It's like releasing yourself from
I just want to
invisible
point out
bondage.
I want to point out one thing.
Go ahead.
Because she's from Chicago, which means she likes sports, right? But when she just said, we always looking for the home run, but sometimes there's a good pitch, that's a bar.
That's a real bar. It went.
Like
it
went quick, but
Yeah.
I'm like, wow.
Yeah.
This baby watches baseball. I
hate
loved
you so much.
I knew I
I
loved
do feel
you.
like baseball is just so popular in Chicago and nowhere else, though. Like, why?
Because every sport is
so
popular in Chicago.
Yeah.
Facts.
Everything. If it's a ball, like everything is popular.
Even though it ain't.
But yeah, I just feel like we just gotta do. People gotta just do their thing. We can't. Like you said, everybody wants an accolade. Everybody wants a congratulations. Everybody wants to know that their work did good. But at the end of the day, if you touch somebody and somebody, it's almost like this. I was having this conversation with a friend of mine that's a musician, and I'm like, so what do you really want for real? Because you could call up and get some gigs, and you can get some cash. You can make a name for yourself and go to a couple of clubs, start doing some performances. Y'all do y'all thing. You got your band. Y'all can make something pop, and you're an artist. Because that's all that being an artist is doing your music and performing and being, an artist, doing the act of. Mm-hmm. But it seems like you're looking for something else. And I think a lot of people don't know if they actually want to do the thing or they want to be famous. And I can't help you with that.
Yeah.
Because I'm happy when I got a gig and when I can just work and I can just do my thing and I can just say, you know what, I get to do what I love and I get to make my coin, I get to move on. Yeah. But if you want to do, if that's what you're doing for, then yeah, that should be enough. But you have to start questioning yourself when it comes to having the job and doing the thing is not enough. You want more, but then maybe your focus is more about fame.
Yeah.
Which it's the craziest thing in the world you could ever want.
Yeah.
It's fleeting. It's not real. It's it brings a lot of drama. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's a side effect to being talented or being good or great at something. it should never be the goal. And I think that you know, in a lot of ways that it has become the goal.
Yeah. I always tell people, like, being an artist, because people ask me, like, you know, about being an artist and stuff. I said, you just got to understand it. You're going to write a check, and it's emotionally expensive. It's the biggest check you'll ever write. It's emotionally expensive.
You have the opportunity to mold, both of you, talent all the time now with Keke Television, right?
Yeah, KTV.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
I'm very excited with that. Yes,
So
thank you.
you're celebrating and bringing together and recognizing young.
Yes, young creatives, and hopefully also saying that there's two things with KTV, right? There's great content from new creators that you've never seen before, whether it be writers, actors, directors. We're giving everybody an opportunity with my platform to hopefully be seen and get their work seen by more people and get greater opportunities.
Yeah.
But then there's also the education and the democratization of the industry, where I really want to be able to dismantle some of these ideas of what it means to work in the industry. You know, how, you know, and all the different avenues in which you can work in the industry.
Yeah.
It's the difference between a player and being a coach or owning the team. You can be any which one that you want. Just be clear on what it is you want and what it is you're doing to get there.
Yeah.
You know, and I've been a player for years, you know, and now I'm trying to be a coach, and in a minute I'm going to be the owner.
Facts.
And that's where I want to be. You know what I mean? But I want to share what I've learned with other people like myself, the young kids, people in my community, because there are so many jobs. You know what I'm saying? I'm looking right here, right? You know, we got a sound engineer, black, camera op, black. You know what I'm saying? Producer, black. That we can be in those positions.
Yeah.
But the kids got to know that they're there.
Yeah.
Man, if you could, everybody want to wear Carhartt, but they don't want to do Carhartt shit. If you could work in the factory, baby, you could be a grip.
Yeah.
We can get it. We can do these jobs. And so I really want them to know what is available to them. And you ain't always got to get out there and dance. You know what I mean? There's other jobs in this industry for you to be in. So that's also what Key TV is about too, is to, you know, hopefully continue to support and teach and give skills to the next generation on how else they can be a part of this industry.
Yeah, because that's what we love to talk about on the show, is that our people, we have limited access, right? And that's what it is. It's really access, and access doesn't always mean money. Access sometimes means being able to talk to somebody who goes, you know, this is what you can be doing. Being able to sit down with Tricky and them here. You know what? You may have admirations of being an artist, but you could be a singer-songwriter. You can still get your creativity out of there. You can be behind the camera, in front of the camera, you know what I mean? And we have to do, and that's one of the main reasons we started this show, is that we want to leave tangible tools to not only our people of course first, but everybody, that they can see that it doesn't have to be, you don't have to just dribble the basketball. You don't have to just throw the football. There's so much other things we have to do, and being able to have these real conversations that aren't orchestrated and formulated and feel like we're doing press junkets, or we're just, you know, we're all curious about those things, but we have to do a good job of being the mentors and wrapping our arms around the next generation, even our generation. There's a lot of people our age that are still wandering around like, what should I be doing? How can I get involved? And, you know, we owe it to ourselves, I think, more than anything, to just be able to be those conduits for people.
Yeah, that's all it's about, is service. Period. At the end of the day. Service. That's all it's about at the end of the day. I love looking at your IG, because Ella's on there. His daughter, right?
Beautiful kids.
Yo, and he loves being a father. He loves being a father. That's his thing. He'll tell you to fuck off quickly about fatherhood. For real, like on the weekend, like, no, I'm not doing that. Sunday, me and the kids. And I think you got that from your mom and just that tight family, right?
I got that from Mark.
Oh, bro.
Mark, I mean, we didn't, like, I know it seems like we're like some super, like, established family, but we're all from broken homes. You know what I mean? Like, every last one of us, like, all my cousins, like, whether it's Kook, whether it's my cousin Jason Weaver, whether it's me and my brothers, whether it's my cousin Sean on the other side. So it was really Mark and Kook that, and my Uncle Butch, rest in peace, like, but we didn't have that same relationship with him. So although he was married and had a very stable situation, it wasn't something that we were able to kind of learn from. But when Mark and Judy and Kook and Stevie, they became the beacons of our new generation of family, because my uncle June and his wife Beatrice, they've been married forever, but I left Chicago when I was 92. So my parents got divorced when I was, less than a year, right? So I never lived in the house with with a man or anything, like with my father or anything like that.
Wow.
So it was just became like this thing where we wanted to learn how to be like trustworthy. You know what I'm saying? We really wanted to be like
accountable.
God
like
bless
where
y'all.
it's like, because the one thing that escapes black men a lot of the time is like people don't know if their word really means what it really means. So it's like to really focus on just really being trustworthy was something that we really focused on in our family, of like kind of changing that narrative as it just pertains to each household individually.
Man, I love
We got that from Mark.
Wow.
And Coop.
Because it could always go the other way. So
Always.
It's going
incredible.
the wrong way for most. But
Yeah.
it just takes all it takes is one, because people are like, "Oh, you love being a father." Well, who's watching? Like who's watching that, and does that make them want to be a father? Does that you know what I'm saying? Like, so it's just one little pebble.
That's it.
yeah, I love that.
Because you can have it all. Like the main
You
thing,
can.
you can really have it all. People think that you have to,
Sacrifice one for the other.
sacrifice and all that kind of stuff. No, you do need to have a plan.
Yeah.
Like you can't. It's not a matter of just having. I didn't have kids just to be having kids. My kids was part of a plan. Like I know when they were coming. And I wanted kids when I wanted kids, and particularly I wanted to make sure that I didn't have them during football season. And so that's why they.
There it is.
That's why their birthdays is in June and July. The next one will be in August, but it will never be during football season.
Love it.
It's serious.
I cannot with you.
He's serious.
I'm dead ass.
Speaking of kids.
Woo!
Speaking of
Congratulations.
kids.
Thank you so
Kids.
much.
Yes.
Excited.
Number one.
Number one.
You excited?
I'm very excited. I'm very excited, very grateful. He was saying, I come from a big family. My dad's 1 of 9. My mom's 1 of 7. Grew up with tons of aunts and uncles. I'm 1 of 4. My sister has 3 kids. So, having a big family and children, all that was always in my plan. I never knew, when it was necessarily going to happen, but I can tell you that this baby was most definitely like, it's time to go. You know what I mean? I'm ready to go. Time for the baby. And it just clicked into me that that's something that I wanted to bring into my life. And so I'm very happy to be in this place. I mean, it's just so funny because I remember the days where I'll be thinking to myself, I wonder what would happen when I'm a mom, or man, it would be so crazy if I ever got to host SNL, or man, I hope I get a chance to work with Jordan Peele again. I damn sure didn't think all that shit was gonna happen in the same year. I mean, God, it's crazy. I'm
like, hold my beer.
Keke, watch this.
Watch
I mean, all of it in one thing. Baby hosted. Nope. I mean, that was crazy to me. You know what I mean? I think that is the funniest. Sometimes you have to just sit back and just be like, God, you really are a trip,
wild
dude.
dude.
You is a trip, boy. Because I asked you for this trip. And you really came out. You don't give me all of it. And so for me, I think I'm really in a state of just. I mean, man, y'all. I'm just so grateful. There ain't nothing, you know what I mean? And it's so funny. I was talking to my friend about this the night after I did SNL. And I was like, what's so funny, man? Life is just life. You know what I mean? When you reach these pinnacle moments and you always think about, when I make it to this or when I make it to that and what's that going to be? And then when you get there, it's like, man, I'm just me. Yeah. I'm still the same. And maybe it's different for other people. But I know for me, I just like, man, I'm just me. And so none of these, while, yes, I learned things along the way that made this a possibility, and yes, I'm here to be at this moment in time and relish in this, it's just a moment. These moments are all going to pass us by. These great moments, these uncomfortable moments, these whatever moments, and you just keep on going with life. And, it's never the end. Nothing is the end point. You just move on to the next chapter and the next thing. Oh wow, when my baby going to be here?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm pregnant. Now when I'm gonna meet my baby? When we're gonna have the first birthday? When you gonna say mommy? When, life just keeps on, and I really appreciate that because it helps you to just kind of just really relax even more. Like the more that you had these moments in life for me, it just made me say, God got it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
God got it.
All of it.
All I gotta do is just, do my best, you know what I mean? Live from a very, just genuine place and trust and believe, honey.
Yeah.
It will work out. It's that's what I just always try to say. Because I done had many ups and downs and lefts and rights and whatever you have it. But it's done always worked out, man. It has. And you just keep going.
Amen. Beautiful.
Amen.
Beautiful.
I wanted some Oregon.
On the road.
For real.
I can't
listen, like we can't. We're so quick to galvanize around other things. We got to galvanize around the positive things, the things that keep us waking up every day and that keep us moving forward. Because we can easily find ourselves stuck in, it's not exactly there. It's never going. Trust me, it's never going to be exactly there. The beauty, though, is in what is there. The beauty is in
gratitude.
The beauty is in when I need a moment. Shit. All right. Yeah, like the beauty is in, for me, waking up, hearing my daughter, or have my daughter come kiss me every day and be like, I love you, I'm about to go to school, My son just continuing on his journey, just my house, my family, just, like moving forward. We had a pretty tough year last year, so that, like, I just went, because we were like, yo, she took us to church. We got to go there, because everything is to be celebrated. I don't take none of this for granted. I don't think none of us should, even this moment, sitting here, this is a full circle. Like Tricky and I, like he said, like 2012, Zach Katz, and you heard this story before, walked me into his office, and sat me in front of him. He was like, Tricky's story? And I was like, I know him, but I don't know him. I know who he is, of course. And he sat me in there, and Tricky was like looking, and we were talking, and he's like, yeah, I'm gonna hire you. And I didn't know, I was like, yeah, I literally, just being honest, what my confidence was at that moment, I walked out and I'm like, sorry, I hit it, huh? I walked out at that moment and I was like, we'll see. But then it happened. And from there, it's just been, it's always been magic, but it's been magic, so I appreciate you. I don't get to tell you that enough, how much I appreciate how you changed the trajectory of my life, my family's life.
That's real.
That is just so good. That's you. Always be blessed. That's just incredible. That's so good. That's how we got to be with each other. It's, everything you said is true, man. Because there is a lot of stuff, if we just sit down and think about it, that we could just be depressed about.
Yeah.
But that's not. We have to work against that. We have to think about celebrating what we do have. You know what I mean? It's a good life. Life can be good. Life can be good. It really can be.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? It don't have to be stressful. It don't have to be. You know what I mean? It could be good.
Yeah.
So I'm dope, but I'm glad that everything is feeling good. Started 2023, man. From whatever was going down in 2022.
Trick.
Sitting here with you.
You ever get a chance to really just sit back and really pat yourself on the back?
No.
And because
no, I don't.
You've been a part of so many people's careers who might not have had a career without your advocacy. And I think sometimes, and we talked about this with Jalen Ramsey and other people that are at you guys' caliber of like the accolades and the things that you've done, sometimes you forget to give yourself some flowers and to sit back and enjoy and watch what you have bared, the fruit, and you know, I want to make sure that you do that sometimes, man, because you deserve it. Like, you know, the family, man, the music, the artists, people like Malik, like you've changed a lot of lives, man, and I hope you recognize that.
Yeah.
And I know you're on the same path with Key TV and everything you're doing. And you're getting ready to embark on a new journey of being a mother, which is like being a parent is it changed my life too. I have an 8-year-old daughter who I was wild. I was going through a lot of things, but the focus changed with that. And waking up and seeing something you've created every day. We're hard on ourselves, right? As business people, as you know, the way we look, the way we feel sometimes, and nothing changes when you become a parent. But and this is for both of you guys. Make sure you please like just give yourself the grace you talked about and the props and the flowers because it's well deserved.
Man, listen, I mean, I answered the question quickly. You know, it's not the question is different than the reality. Like, I don't spend time like patting myself on the back because I think it goes back to what Keke said, what she spoke about earlier. Is like, this is what I do, and there's stuff that comes along with it. And from that standpoint, it's you're always trying to stay in. I always wanted to be in the position just so I can keep doing it. You know what I mean? Like, and the reason that I am the way that I am is because the story that I told about L.A. Reid, that's the way that it was with me. You know what I mean? Like, he didn't look at me and say, I'm about to do something and then didn't do it. He said, I want you to do this. That was the first single. We shot the video. Like, I moved to Atlanta. The studio that I built in 1995 is the reason that he gave me the money to originally invest in that studio, to buy that studio, to put myself in that position at 19 years old. So it's just, and so
that
whether
aligns with you saying you wanted to be someone trustworthy.
Yeah. And so it's like, it's just, it's what my brothers taught me.
Yeah.
I've never had, you know, a lot of people talk about the industry. I have not had that experience. You know, like no one has ever taken anything from me. I've never been fucked over. Like, you know, at the end of the day, I'm not saying that there haven't been, like, put it this way. There's been people that have done things that I don't like or whatever, but I don't take that as they fucked me over. I just don't internalize other people's pain.
That's a
You know
very
what I'm saying?
big thing. What he's saying.
Because
I don't
hurt
wanna
people
side-
hurt people.
But but the key is about. He said something I think is really important. I don't want to sidetrack from what you're saying, but it's all about how we frame things too.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? What story that we tell ourselves. He never told himself the story that he's a victim. I'm sure another person could go through his same thing and they might say, well, so-and-so never did such and such. And this person, that was supposed to be my record. That's just not the attitude that he chooses to have. And I think that's another big part of success that when you pointed that out, I wanted to say something about that because success is also a mentality. And one of the main things it doesn't include is you blaming, victimizing, and staying stuck on old shit.
Yeah. And I've been able to just kind of pass that. But there are things that what I'm really appreciative of, or what my flowers really come back as, is the people who didn't make it. And when they go, damn, I didn't get what I wanted in music, but guess what I do now? Because I was there, you know, because like I learned how to think, because I learned how to have perspective on it. And even with, you know, us building sessions in Atlanta, it wasn't, the first line is just not about music. It's about all the people who didn't make it from music, but that made it at other things because they had access to their dream, and then at least got the opportunity to figure out that they didn't either have what it took, they weren't willing to do what it was going to take, or something else. But nobody said you can't do that, you know. And I think it's just important for the people who get those positions to make sure that you ultimately you gotta open the door. And I've had the things that bother me is like I've had people tell me like, like they'll go into a door that was open for them, and they were like, when I go in that door, I can't think about nobody else but myself. And I'm like, when I got my deal with LaFace, I came in with a whole bunch of people who had never written a song before, people who had never mixed a song before, engineers that had never recorded. And I could have done myself a lot of favors early in my career by just plucking myself out of that situation and putting myself around more experienced people. But then we wouldn't have the Tabs. Then we wouldn't have the Kooks. We wouldn't have
Mark Stewart as a big man.
Yeah, I mean, like my first artist that I ever signed, Sam Salter, who passed last year or the last year. It's like seeing artists how they operate today is completely different because he didn't hold and covet anything. He shared with Tyrese. Robin Thicke wrote his first songs on there. Tab wrote his first songs on there. Kevin K.D. Davis mixed his first stuff on there. Mark Stewart was a first-time artist manager on there. I was a first-time producer on there and the first-time executive producer. So all throughout the whole situation, you just see, even going to someone like Zeke Lewis, like Zeke was one of the writers with Sam Salter. So all these careers got spawned just by one person not going like this.
Yeah.
Zeke.
You know what I mean? And so those people, he may not be here today to see all the flowers that came from the doors that he
opened
with his talent. Because he was the voice. He was the voice that everybody needed to utilize in order for us to get on LA and Babyface's radar at the time and that really high level and give us an opportunity to compete in Atlanta with Jermaine and Dallas and Organized Noise. We didn't get what they got because we didn't have the experience. We were figuring it out, but somebody had to give us that opportunity. So between, whether it was LA or whether it was Sam, like those things really, those types of people, you have to honor the opportunity and how you got there. And that's why I really try to stay in position. That's my most motivating factor is to stay in position to be able to go, call this person, call that person. Do you know her? Do that. You know what I mean? And I think that's really important.
Yo, for real. So a couple of questions before we shake up out of here. Alice.
Oh.
Pimp. Nope. And Aquila.
Oh, wow.
Pick two of those and give me a character trait from the character that is truly you.
You picked some really good projects, by the way. Really?
I love.
Yeah, those are really ones.
I'm
Yeah.
just saying.
I'm so glad that you did it. And Alice and Pimp are ones that, like, you really got to be like into some Keke Palmer work to know.
I like
you know what
that.
I mean? I really love that.
It be on Showtime. It's running right now. They running the shit out of it on Showtime. I'm gonna keep it a trail.
Oh my God. Okay. So Alice, I'll say resilient.
That's right.
Alice, that character, she's very resilient. Obviously, for those that haven't seen the film, it's pretty much about a young woman who believes that she's a slave, but finds out that she's actually been living in the 1970s, and the man that kept her on the plantation was keeping her and her family captive, making them think that slavery was still, going on. But what I love about that movie and what I love about that character is how I feel is like, at the end of the day, nothing that I'm going through is ever going to be harder than what they went through. And if a character like Alice could still keep going forward, and have the resilience to still feel like, hey, there's a reason, I got something to fight for, my life, my freedom, then I feel like I'm the same way. No matter how hard life is to me, I'm still worth fighting for,
Go ahead.
So I think it's the resilience there. And I think with Aquila,
Okay.
I got in common with Aquila. I can spell. No, I'm kidding. What I got in common with Aquila, I think, is being not being afraid to be a light. You know what I mean? I come from a small town, Illinois, you know what I'm saying? My parents, it was our relationship was very much, you know, following the yellow brick road. You know, we decided we're gonna drive 4 days or 3 nights to California and, you know, to help my little girl with, you know, her career. You know, and I was only 9, 10 years old at the time. And I think just like Akilah, even with all of that, you know, there's a moment in the movie where Akilah crying, look, everybody wanted me to win the B and everybody wanted me to be great, and I don't know if I can be great. I can't say that I had a moment like that, but I did always know that I have to be great, and I am great. And it was a huge responsibility for me, especially so young. And, you know, sometimes that was stressful, but I found my way around it, and I was always able to say, you know what, if I'm going to be chosen, then I'm going to walk in that, and I'm going to hold and carry whatever comes with that for whoever is watching. And so I think that I have that in common with Akilah. With Nope, I think I have in common with Emerald is her performative nature.
Yeah.
You know, because you see the beginning of that movie, and Emerald is like, ha, ha, ha. And then as the movie goes on, you see, okay,
It got real.
It got real.
It got real.
It got real. You know what I'm saying? And she's had to overcome a lot, and this is obviously a part of how in which she does that. I'm like that. I'm always going to use humor in my, you know, it's your girl. Even though inside I'm like, we got to figure this shit out. You know, fast. You know what I mean? I think I'm very much like Emerald in the sense where, you know, I put on that face. You know what I mean? Because let's just be comfortable, even if I'm uncomfortable. And so I think I have that in common with the character Emerald. With the character in Pimp Wednesday, I'm a provider. You know, I think Wednesday, even though she was a pimp, I ain't no pimp. But Wednesday was going to be, she's going to do what she can for her community, regardless.
Yeah.
You know, she's going to figure out a way. She's going to hustle, and she's going to hustle hard. And she's not afraid to play whatever side she got to play to get there. And that's me, honey. I'll wear whatever hat I got to wear as long as I'm showing up for those that love me. And so, you know, I say that's how I'm like Wednesday.
Okay.
Nice. That's amazing. I gotta go back and rewatch that.
So I think February 5th.
Yes.
Big night.
Could be.
Nah, it's hold on. Record of the year.
Woo!
Song of the year.
Wow.
Album of the year. 2 other 5 like we talked about this. I talked to you about this. Listen, I was in DC. Listen, I was in DC on a boat. Remember? I called it. I'm FaceTiming. I'm on the boat. I'm like, listen, we going. You going. And my whole thing is, as this is a big night, but this feels like I told you this should be happening in this way for you. How is this different than single ladies in that time? Like from a growth standpoint, like Tricky Stewart who had a night like all the nominations, but now this Christopher Tricky Stewart, what is the young guy actually telling the older guy as we walk up to February 5th, as we walk it down?
I think the biggest thing is that then I didn't care. You know, like I wasn't present. It was like going to the Grammys was an inconvenience to getting back to the studio.
Wow.
Like, I was like, y'all really going? I mean, like, we won a lot of awards that we weren't there for. You know, like, Dream won Best New Artist, and we weren't there. You know what I mean? Like, we were locked in. And so this time I can smell the roses. You know, like, yeah. I can smell the roses because this feels more like Golden State's, you know, last championship. You know what I mean? Where it's like, oh, you thought we forgot. And the nature of mine and Dream's relationship is that no one ever asked us to stop making hits. We just needed a break because it was like, I don't think people really understood the magnitude of how many records there were how many full albums there were. We weren't cherry picking. Like if you look, like people be like, just fine. Well, we did the other 14 records too. Like, you know, like if we drove records, but the Mariah Carey albums, like we did those whole albums. We did Justin Bieber's Christmas albums. We did we were doing, you know, Katy Perry's Teenage Dream. That's 5-6 records, you know,
excellent.
and so it's like it's real estate. We were writing 15 records a day for a 3-year period.
People don't know what that does, though. They don't, you know, that's really serious stuff.
Yeah. And so our age is different, so I needed a break. He didn't need a break as much as I did because I handle the artist experience too, which is taking in like all the emotions of every person. Because he writes, we would write, we would produce, and then he'd be like, okay, like, and then it's like, and then I'm there, you know, with the person and going through all the things because you know artists don't always know which one is the hit. I'm the one that's gotta, you know. No, this is the one you need to be singing. You know, like don't mess this up. So it was just a lot of like mental toll. So this year like feels magical in the sense that I really and the other part is I wanted to win, but I didn't care if I won or lost. This time I kind of want to win because I really feel like Beyonce had the best album of the year. I just really did.
It was incredible.
Like taking us out of it, taking that out of it, I just really feel like
the best body
this one right here is like I listened to this.
You can literally play no
it's
stops.
not even like any sort of connection to like you did that. It's just this is what I'm playing around my house and so from that standpoint. Enjoying it like feels completely different. And my kids were, when we won the other Grammys, Ella was born in 2010, right? Mm-hmm. So that was the last time I won a Grammy. So now they have an idea, like, you know, that I'm winning Grammys. You know, they see them at the house, but now they'll be watching. Yeah. You know, they'll be able to see, really witness, you know, if history gets made. So that feels different.
That's so excellent.
Love it.
And what a line! You won't break my soul.
Hey man, the song. I just
right.
I think
right?
the lyric is so timely.
I just think the lyric is so timely. I'd say.
Timely. You think? Well, you know, you have to wait and you have to have patience because that wasn't like a record. Like we had that record, you know.
Yeah.
And the one thing, like we did so much writing, it's like I have so many songs. I have songs that can change lives. It's just the artists have to be ready.
Yes.
We were really ahead. Like really ahead. Like I mean, and it was to the point where we were just doing things. We would go see a movie, we'd be like, let's write the soundtrack. Nobody hired us to write the soundtrack, but we would write all 15 tracks. You know what I mean? Like we were like, shit, why did y'all do that? Just because we could. You know what I mean? And so it's like I have drives and drives and drives of just songs from that era, and Dream has never stopped. Like he's just a constant prolific.
No, Dream is. One time I worked with Dream when I was younger, and he was like talking to me for 5 minutes. He was like, I got the song. First I was delayed at JFK. 4 hours up in a photo shoot, been on my feet all day in designer boots. I can't stop it. I'm out, and literally did the whole song. I'm like, this nigga's crazy. Like he literally wrote the whole song in 5. It was crazy. We were just sitting there, and I just told him, I was like, you know, I'm tired. I always have to go set to set and, you know, filming, and, you know, I just, you know what I mean? Like, wrote the whole thing in 5 seconds. Me and my sister was like, that's crazy.
This happened.
I don't know how he does that.
He's like that. He's different. And the big thing, I really want him to win Songwriter of the Year because this is the first year that it's ever been a
That
category.
has been a category. Yeah.
Harvey Mason, shout out to him.
Shout out to Harvey.
To
Yes.
changing that, because the songwriter's been, there's no reason that this hasn't been
Yeah.
throughout the history of music, that the songwriter shouldn't be honored at the highest level as well.
Seriously.
And give them a check. Can we get them their money? Like songwriters walking in and not getting paid and having to wait like full cycles to get money. Like these people are broke. I know a lot of writers. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know them.
No, listen. I'm saying there's a lot of songwriters. That's why there's all these initiatives right now to try to like. But I'm saying, we not talking about Dream.
No, I'm just
No, you know what? Because he talking about somebody that's like.
No, listen, man. None of my songs. Listen, none of my. If you write hits, there's only one way to get paid in this business. Now, writing songs and having placements, that's not how you change the game. Like, you have to write songs that make people matter. And there's a lot of people that go in the studio doing what they want to do. And that's not what you got paid. That's not why you took a publishing check. You have to deliver the goods. And ultimately, there's a lot of people. Now, if there's people out there that's delivering the goods that aren't getting paid, there's something wrong with that. But ultimately, when you sign your name up to your publisher and they advance you that money, they're advancing you that money for you to go out and do what you do. And if you take a 6-figure check or something like that.
Yeah, but people got to really look at that advance. That means nothing after.
Well,
it means advance. I'm paying you for service in advance. So when this money runs out,
and
that was it.
And it's non-recourse debt. You know, it's not a lot of places. If you go take that money from the bank, they come in to take that house. The publishing company or whoever advances your money, they just got to ride off into the sunset and hope for the best.
And if those 50 songs or those 100 songs that was it for the advance, if you only on song 20 or song 6,
it only takes a couple.
True.
Regardless of the check, you write some big ones, they'll write you another.
Exactly.
There it is. I'm about to go write some songs now.
You about to go write some songs.
Exactly.
Listen, we collectively want to thank you guys both. It's been amazing. I hope this is the camaraderie stays way after this is over. We just chop it, because that's what we also do here. We try to build community. You know what I mean? And again, thank you so much.
No, thank you.
Especially in your amazing condition, that you would come and sit with us. And again, blessings on that. Tricky.
Pleasure's on mine.
Yo, February 5th.
February 5th, baby.
February 5th, baby.
And don't forget, after that,
Hey.
the Big Boss.
Hey.
The film is coming out.
Big Boss, baby.
That's February too?
Yes, it is.
Yeah?
It is. It's February.
Okay.
Debut is the whole. You rolling the film out?
Yeah, the film out with the project. So right now we're literally just finishing. I'm doing my Virgo thing, finishing the last final touches on this movie because I want it to be perfect. It's also my directorial debut. I wrote it as well. So we're just finalizing a couple of things, and we're dropping this year.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we need to come.
Music is crazy.
It is.
We need to come. We need to come like see something early.
Yeah, that could totally be arranged.
Okay, there it is.
Yeah.
Yo, live from LA. See y'all. Sweet Life Podcast.
Peace.
Peace.
Dope.